I thought my life was finally stable. At 32, I had everything I had worked for. I had a good job, a comfortable home, and a wife I loved deeply. Olivia and I had been married for 6 years. We had faced difficult times together, but we always found a way through them. That morning started like any other. Before leaving for work, I kissed Olivia on the forehead. "Don't work too hard," Olivia said with a smile. "I'll try. You always say that. And you always worry." Olivia laughed softly. "Because somebody has to." I smiled and grabbed my keys. "I'll see you tonight." "I love you. I love you too." Nothing about that conversation felt strange. Nothing felt wrong. At work, I spent most of the morning reviewing reports and answering emails. Around noon, my phone buzzed. The number was unknown. I almost ignored the call. Instead, I answered, "Hello." For a moment, there was silence. Then a voice spoke. "Are you alone?" My stomach tightened. "Who is this?" "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me. You need to listen carefully." I leaned back in my chair. "What do you want?" "I'm trying to help you." "Help me with what?" The caller hesitated. "Your wife is lying to you." My heart skipped a beat. "What?" "Olivia has been hiding something." I laughed nervously. "Nice try." "I'm serious." "Who are you?" "Focus on the message." The caller's voice remained calm. "Olivia and Daniel have been meeting behind your back for months." My chest felt tight. "That's ridiculous." "I knew you wouldn't believe me." "Because it isn't true." "Check for yourself." "Daniel is my best friend." The caller sighed. "Sometimes the people closest to us cause the deepest wounds." "Stop. I'm giving you a warning." "Why should I trust you?" "You shouldn't trust me." The voice paused. "You should verify everything yourself." The call ended. I stared at my phone. Daniel and I had known each other since childhood. Daniel had been beside me through every important moment of my life. When my mother died, Daniel stayed with me. When I got married, Daniel stood beside me as my best man. The idea of Daniel betraying me felt impossible. A few minutes later, Daniel called. "Hey, brother." Daniel sounded cheerful. "How's work?" "Busy." "Same here." "You okay?" I hesitated. "Why?" "You sound strange." I forced a laugh. "I'm fine." "Good. Olivia told me the two of you are planning that weekend trip." "Yeah." "About time." Daniel laughed. "You work too much." "Maybe." "We should all grab dinner soon." "Sure." After the call ended, I felt guilty. The anonymous caller had planted a seed of doubt inside my mind. I hated it. Later that afternoon, I met my younger sister Emma for coffee. Emma took one look at me and frowned. "What's wrong?" "Nothing." "That's a lie." I sighed. Emma crossed Emma's arms. "Talk." I looked around before speaking. "I got a strange phone call." "What kind of phone call?" "Somebody accused Olivia and Daniel of hiding something from me." Emma's eyes widened. "Seriously?" "Yeah." "And you believe it?" "No." The answer came too quickly. Emma noticed. "You aren't sure." "I trust Olivia." "And Daniel?" "I trust Daniel, too." Emma stirred Emma's coffee. "Then why do you look miserable?" I didn't answer. Emma leaned forward. "Listen carefully." "I'm listening." "Don't accuse anybody without proof." "I won't." "But don't ignore it either." I rubbed my forehead. "I hate this." "I know." "What would you do?" "I would investigate quietly." "You think I should?" "I think you deserve the truth." The drive home felt longer than usual. When I arrived, Olivia was cooking dinner. "You're home early." "Traffic wasn't bad." Olivia smiled. "Perfect timing." During dinner, I watched Olivia more closely than usual. Every smile, every word, every movement. I hated myself for doing it. After dinner, Olivia went upstairs to shower. Olivia's phone sat on the kitchen counter. I stared at it. The anonymous caller's words echoed in my mind. "Check for yourself." My hands trembled. I picked up the phone. I wasn't planning to search through everything. I just wanted peace of mind. Then I noticed a message notification. The sender's name froze my blood. Daniel. The latest message read, Don't worry. Olivia, I haven't told him anything. My heart slammed against my chest. I opened the conversation. Another message appeared below. We need be careful until the right time. I couldn't breathe. Maybe there was an innocent explanation. Maybe. But for the first time since receiving that phone call, I realized something terrifying. The anonymous caller might have been telling the truth. I barely slept after seeing Daniel's messages on Olivia's phone. The next morning, Olivia smiled across the breakfast table. You look exhausted. I didn't sleep well. Work stress. Something like that. Olivia reached for my hand. You need a break. I forced a smile. Maybe. Every word felt different now. Every glance carried questions I couldn't ask. At work, I tried focusing on reports, but my thoughts kept returning to those messages. Around lunchtime, a co-worker stopped beside my desk. Are you okay? I looked up. Rachel stood there holding a coffee cup. I'm fine. Rachel raised an eyebrow. No, you're not. I laughed softly. Am I that obvious? Today? Yes. Rachel sat down. Want to talk? I hesitated. I don't know. Then start with something small. I rubbed my face. I think somebody close to me might be lying. Rachel nodded. Do you have proof? Maybe. Maybe isn't proof. I know. Rachel took a sip of coffee. Be careful. Why? Because assumptions can destroy innocent people. I stared at my desk. What if the evidence keeps growing? Then gather facts. You sound like a lawyer. Rachel laughed. I watched too many crime shows. For the first time all day, I smiled. Later that evening, I called Daniel. Daniel answered after several rings. Hey. Daniel sounded distracted. Everything okay? Yeah. You sure? Busy day. We haven't talked much lately. I've been swamped. The conversation felt awkward. We should meet this weekend. A pause followed. I'll see. That answer bothered me. Daniel never used to avoid spending time with me. After the call ended, my doubts grew stronger. The next day, I visited my father. Robert lived alone outside the city. As soon as Robert opened the door, Robert frowned. You look troubled. I need advice. Robert motioned toward the living room. Sit. A few minutes later, I told Robert everything except the phone messages. Robert listened quietly. Finally, Robert sighed. Trust is fragile. I know. When trust breaks, rebuilding trust becomes difficult. You think something is happening? I think emotions can blind people. I stared at the floor. What would you do? Robert leaned back. I made mistakes when I was younger. I looked up. You never told me that. Some stories are painful. What happened? Robert smiled sadly. I ignored warning signs because I wanted life to stay comfortable. My chest tightened, and the truth arrived anyway. Silence filled the room. Robert finally spoke again. Find facts. I will, but don't let anger make decisions for you. I'll try. The following week became a nightmare. I began quietly checking financial records. At first, everything looked normal. Then I noticed several transfers. Small amounts, nothing dramatic, but together they added up to thousands of dollars. My pulse quickened. The transfers came from account Olivia, and I shared. I immediately called the bank. After verifying my identity, I asked questions. The representative provided transaction dates. Most occurred during the last 6 months. 6 months. The same period mentioned by the anonymous caller. That evening, I confronted Olivia carefully. I was reviewing finances today. Olivia froze for a moment. Why? Just planning ahead. Oh. I watched Olivia closely. Did you make any large transfers recently? Olivia looked away. A few. For what? House expenses. Thousands of dollars? Olivia crossed Olivia's arms. Why does this suddenly matter? The defensive tone surprised me. I'm asking a simple question. And I gave a simple answer. The conversation ended there, but my suspicions deepened. Over the next several days, Daniel became harder to reach. Calls went unanswered. Messages received short replies. One afternoon, I texted, Everything okay? Hours later, Daniel replied, busy. Nothing else. No explanation. No conversation. Just one word. The pressure inside me became unbearable. I stopped enjoying work. I stopped sleeping properly. Even simple conversations felt exhausting. Rachel noticed immediately. You look worse. I feel worse. Rachel frowned. Did you learn something? Money disappeared. Rachel set down Rachel's coffee. That's serious. I know. What are you going to do? I don't know anymore. Rachel studied my face. Promise me something. What? Don't accuse anybody until you're certain. I'll try. No. Promise. I nodded. I promise. That same evening, everything changed. Olivia said Olivia was meeting a friend for dinner. The explanation sounded ordinary, maybe too ordinary. As soon as Olivia left, I grabbed my keys. For the first time in my life, I followed my own wife. My hands shook while driving. Part of me hoped I was wrong. Part of me prayed I was losing my mind. 20 minutes later, Olivia parked outside a quiet restaurant. I stayed across the street. Then another car arrived. The driver's door opened. My stomach dropped. Daniel stepped out. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Daniel walked toward Olivia. Olivia smiled. Daniel smiled back. Then I watched Daniel pull Olivia into a long embrace. At that moment, every excuse I had created shattered. My worst fears were no longer fears. I didn't confront Olivia or Daniel immediately. Instead, I spent 3 days collecting everything I could find. Bank records, messages, dates, transfers. Every piece of information pointed toward the same ugly truth. By the 4th day, I couldn't carry the weight anymore. I called Olivia. We need to talk. Olivia's voice sounded nervous. About what? You know exactly what. Silence followed. When? Tonight, after ending the call, I sent a message to Daniel. Be at my house at 7. Daniel replied almost instantly. Why? 7. The evening arrived slowly. At exactly 7, Olivia and Daniel sat across from me in my living room. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Finally, I broke the silence. How long? Olivia looked down. Daniel looked away. My heart sank. Neither Olivia nor Daniel denied anything. Answer me. Olivia whispered. It's not what you think. I laughed bitterly. That's the line you're choosing? Daniel leaned forward. Let me explain. No. My voice echoed through the room. I spent years trusting Daniel. I pointed toward Daniel. I spent years loving Olivia. Then I slammed a folder onto the table. Now explain these. Olivia stared at the documents. Daniel turned pale. I opened the folder. Bank transfers. Nobody responded. Secret meetings. Still silence. Messages. Olivia started crying. Daniel rubbed Daniel's forehead. I stood. Talk. Olivia finally spoke. I never wanted this. Then why did it happen? I made mistakes. Mistakes. My voice cracked. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. Tears rolled down Olivia's face. A mistake isn't months of lies. Daniel stood. I never planned to hurt you. I laughed again. Daniel betrayed me anyway. Daniel flinched. I know. No. I shook my head. Daniel doesn't know. The room fell silent again. Then Olivia whispered something unexpected. There was never an affair. I froze. What? There was never an affair. I stared at Olivia, then explained the messages. I can. Do it. Olivia took a shaky breath. The money wasn't for Daniel. Then where did it go? Olivia looked terrified. Daniel answered instead. Victor. I frowned. Who is Victor? Daniel sat down heavily. Victor is my business partner. The name meant nothing to me. So what? Daniel swallowed hard. I made terrible decisions. Clearly. Daniel nodded. A year ago, Daniel joined Victor's investment company. I crossed my arms. And at first, everything looked legitimate. Olivia spoke quietly. Then Victor started demanding more money. I stared at Olivia. How are you involved? Olivia closed Olivia's eyes. Daniel came to me for help. My anger exploded. Without telling me? Yes. Why? Because Daniel begged me. I turned toward Daniel. You involved my wife? Daniel lowered Daniel's head. I was desperate. I felt sick. Keep talking. Daniel nodded. Victor convinced me to invest everything. What kind of investment? Real estate projects. And most of it was fake. The room became very quiet. I stared at Daniel. How much did Daniel lose? Almost everything. My stomach tightened. And the missing money? Olivia answered. I was trying to help. You stole from us. I intended to return every dollar. When Olivia couldn't answer, I looked between both faces. Months of confusion suddenly made sense. But the truth didn't make me feel better. The betrayal still existed, just in a different form. You lied every day. Olivia nodded. Yes. You looked me in the eye. More tears appeared. Yes. I turned toward Daniel, and Daniel hid everything. Daniel's voice cracked, because I was ashamed. Ashamed? I laughed bitterly. Daniel should have been honest. I know. The pain inside me felt unbearable. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Olivia whispered, I'm sorry. I closed my eyes. Those words came too late. Much too late. An hour later, Olivia and Daniel left. The house felt empty. I immediately called Emma. Emma answered on the first ring. What's wrong? I know everything. Emma became quiet. Are you okay? No. 20 minutes later, Emma arrived. I explained everything. Emma listened carefully. When I finished, Emma sighed. That's awful. I don't know what to feel. You don't have to decide tonight. I want somebody to pay. Emma looked concerned. Revenge won't fix the damage. I know, but anger is talking right now. Before leaving, Emma hugged me. Don't face this alone. The next morning, Rachel found me sitting in my office. Rachel frowned immediately. You look terrible. I feel worse. Rachel sat beside me. What happened? I told Rachel everything. Rachel listened quietly. Finally, Rachel spoke. So, Victor started the chain reaction. Apparently. And now? I stared through the window. I don't know. Rachel nodded. That's okay. It doesn't feel okay. It won't for a while. I sighed heavily. For the first time in my life, I want revenge. Rachel studied my face. And what do you think revenge will give you? I couldn't answer. That silence told me everything. Later that evening, I stood outside my house. Olivia had called 12 times. Daniel had called 9. I ignored every attempt. My heart wanted answers. My pride wanted justice. My anger wanted revenge. I looked at the dark sky above me. Then I made one decision. I walked away. Away from Olivia. Away from Daniel. Away from the lies that had destroyed my life. But as I drove into the night, one question followed me. Would my future be built on healing or revenge? 3 months passed after I walked away from Olivia and Daniel. The separation became official. Signing the documents felt strange. One signature ended 6 years of marriage. I expected relief. Instead, I felt empty. A week later, I sat inside a law office reviewing financial paperwork. Across the desk sat Grace. Before we begin, I need complete honesty. I've had enough lies to last a lifetime. Grace nodded. Good. I handed over copies of bank records. Grace examined everything carefully. After several minutes, Grace looked up. These transactions are connected to multiple accounts. What does that mean? It means your situation may be bigger than you think. My stomach tightened. How big? Big enough to attract investigators. That answer got my attention. Grace pointed at several documents. Victor appears repeatedly. I've heard enough about Victor. Grace leaned forward. No, you haven't. The confidence in Grace's voice worried me. What are you seeing? Patterns. What kind of patterns? The kind that usually involve fraud. I stared at the paperwork. Daniel claimed Victor manipulated people. Grace nodded. Daniel may be telling the truth. For a moment, I didn't know how to feel. Daniel had betrayed me. Yet, Daniel might also be a victim. Grace continued. Victor built an empire using promises. Promises of what? Fast money. And people believe Victor? Grace laughed softly. People believe what they want to believe. The meeting lasted another hour. When I left, my mind felt exhausted. That evening, Rachel called. How did the meeting go? Complicated. That's never a good word. I smiled slightly. Apparently, Victor may be running something much bigger than failed investments. Rachel became serious. Are you involved? No. Good. Rachel paused. Can I ask something? Sure. What are you doing for yourself? The question surprised me. What do you mean? Everything lately has been about Olivia, Daniel, and Victor. Rachel sighed. What about your future? I looked around my apartment. I haven't thought much about it. Then start. Easier said than done. Rachel laughed. Nobody said rebuilding would be easy. The next morning, I found myself thinking about Rachel's words. For months, my life had revolved around betrayal. Maybe it was time to focus on something else. Later that week, Rachel stopped by my office. Rachel placed a brochure on my desk. What's this? A leadership program. I raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Very. I don't have time. Rachel crossed Rachel's arms. That's exactly why you need it. I looked at the brochure. The opportunity could help advance my career. For years, I had postponed similar programs. There was always another excuse. Rachel smiled. Apply. What if I fail? What if you don't? I couldn't argue with that. A month later, I was accepted. The workload was intense. The schedule was exhausting. But for the first time in months, I felt productive. I wasn't chasing answers. I wasn't reliving old wounds. I was building something new. One afternoon, my phone buzzed. Daniel. I stared at the screen. The call ended. Seconds later, another message appeared. Please talk to me. I deleted it. The next day, another message arrived. I never meant for this to happen. Delete. A week later, I'm sorry. Delete. No apology could restore what had been destroyed. Meanwhile, Victor's problems continued growing. Grace called one evening. I have news. What happened? Investigators are officially involved. I sat upright. That's serious? Very serious. What did they find? Evidence. My heart raced. Enough evidence? Grace smiled. Enough evidence to make Victor nervous. For the first time in months, I felt something close to satisfaction. Not revenge. Justice. There was a difference. As weeks passed, articles about Victor started appearing online. More victims came forward. Former employees spoke publicly. Investors demanded answers. Victor's reputation began collapsing. One evening, Emma visited. Emma placed a newspaper on my table. Look. I glanced at the headline. Victor's company was under investigation. Emma smiled. Karma finally showed up. I laughed. Maybe. Emma studied my face. You're different. How? Happier. The word surprised me. Was I happier? Maybe. Not because Victor was suffering. Not because Olivia was gone. Not because Daniel regretted everything. I was happier because I was moving forward. A few days later, I completed the leadership program. My supervisor called me into a meeting. Closed the door. Immediately, I became nervous. My supervisor smiled. Relax. I sat down. What's going on? We're promoting you. For a moment, I thought I had misunderstood. Seriously? Very seriously. I couldn't stop smiling. After months of pain, something good had finally happened. That evening, I called Rachel. I got promoted. Rachel shouted with excitement. I knew it. You were right. Of course I was. I laughed. Thank you. You earned it. When the call ended, I sat quietly in my apartment. My phone buzzed again. Daniel. Another message. I hope someday you'll forgive me. I looked at the words for several seconds. Then I locked my phone. Outside my window, the city lights glowed against the darkness. Victor's empire was falling. Daniel was drowning in regret. Olivia was living with consequences. For the first time since that anonymous phone call, I wasn't focused on their downfall. I was focused on my future. And somewhere beyond the pain, I could finally see hope waiting for me. 8 months passed after my life changed forever. The man who received that anonymous phone call no longer existed. I still remembered the pain. I still remember the betrayal. But those memories no longer controlled me. One morning, Grace called. "I thought you want an update." I smiled. "Good news?" "Very good news." I leaned back in my chair. "Tell me." "Victor accepted a settlement agreement." I nodded. "So it's over?" "Almost." "What happens now?" "Victor loses most of Victor's business assets." For a moment, I said nothing. The empire that had hurt so many people was finally collapsing. Grace laughed softly. "You sound disappointed." "No." I smiled. "I'm just surprised." "You should be proud." "Proud of what?" "You chose justice instead of revenge." After the call ended, I thought about those words. Months earlier, I would have celebrated Victor's downfall. Now I simply accepted it. Later that afternoon, my phone buzzed. A message appeared. "Olivia." I stared at the screen. The message was short. "Please meet me one last time." I almost ignored it. Then another message arrived. "I don't want anything except a chance to apologize." I closed my eyes. Part of me wanted to refuse. Another part of me wanted closure. After several minutes, I replied. One conversation. The meeting happened 2 days later. I arrived first. Olivia entered the cafe a few minutes later. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Olivia sat down. "Thank you for coming." "I'm here." Olivia looked nervous. More nervous than I had ever seen Olivia before. After a long silence, Olivia spoke. "I ruined everything." I remained quiet. I know an apology can't fix anything. "No, it can't." Tears appeared in Olivia's eyes. "The worst part isn't losing the marriage." I frowned. "What is it?" Olivia lowered Olivia's head. "Losing your trust." The answer surprised me. Olivia wiped away tears. "I think about it every day." I listened silently. I betrayed the person who loved me most. Olivia's voice broke, and now I have to live with that. For the first time, I didn't feel angry, only sad. Olivia looked at me. "Do you hate me?" I thought carefully before answering. "No." Hope briefly appeared on Olivia's face. Then I continued. "But I don't trust Olivia anymore." The hope disappeared instantly. "I understand." "No." I shook my head. "I don't think Olivia truly understands." More silence followed. Finally, Olivia nodded. "Maybe you're right." When the conversation ended, Olivia stood. "I'm sorry." I looked into Olivia's eyes. "I know." Olivia left without saying another word. That chapter of my life was finally over. A week later, another meeting happened, this time with Daniel. Daniel looked exhausted. The confident friend I once knew seemed gone. As soon as Daniel sat down, Daniel spoke. "I don't deserve your time." "Probably not." Daniel nodded. "Fair." Neither of us smiled. After a few seconds, Daniel sighed. "I destroyed our friendship." "Yes." "I wish I could change it." "You can't." "I know." Daniel looked away. I kept choosing short-term solutions. I listened quietly. Victor promised success. Daniel laughed bitterly. I believed every word. And everybody paid the price. Daniel nodded slowly. "Especially you." The pain in Daniel's voice sounded genuine. But genuine regret couldn't repair years of trust. I miss my best friend. Those words hit harder than I expected. "So do I?" Daniel looked at me. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then Daniel whispered, "I'm sorry." I stood. I believe Daniel regrets everything. Daniel's eyes widened. "Then why does this feel like goodbye?" "Because it is." Daniel lowered Daniel's head. I walked away without looking back. Some relationships cannot survive betrayal, no matter how much regret follows. Weeks later, Emma invited me to dinner. Rachel came. Robert came. Grace came. The people who stayed. The people who never lied. At one point, Emma raised a glass. To new beginnings. Rachel smiled. I'll drink to that. Robert laughed. Best idea all evening. Grace raised a glass too. To resilience. I smiled. Months ago, I thought my life had ended. Now I understood something important. My old life ended, but my future didn't. The dinner ended late. When I returned home, I felt peaceful. Not happy, not excited. Peaceful. That feeling mattered more. As I walked inside, my phone rang. An unknown number. For a second, memories rushed back. Another unknown number had once destroyed my world. I almost ignored the call. Instead, I answered. Hello? A cheerful voice responded. Am I speaking with the new regional director? I blinked. Yes. Congratulations. I smiled. Thank you. We'd like to discuss an opportunity. The conversation continued for several minutes. When the call finally ended, I stood quietly in my living room. The first unexpected phone call brought betrayal. The second unexpected phone call brought opportunity. I looked out the window at the city lights. Life had broken me. Life had tested me. Life had changed me. But life had not defeated me. For the first time in a very long time, I felt ready for whatever came next. And this time, I walked toward the future without fear.